Hello, everybody. Welcome to the August Sexton Mountain Neighbors Southwest NAC meeting. We're delighted to have you here with us. My name is Jen Fife-Adams, and I'm the co-chair. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now with my wonderful partner, Sharon Dunham. So I'm hoping that Sharon can unmute herself and say hi.
Sorry, we've got a convention going on in the background.
Yeah, understandable. So, but just say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm co-chair and have been your partner in crime for the last 3+ years now.
Yep, I think that's right.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. And another wonderful person on our NAC board is Jim Blaich, and I'm hoping that he will unmute himself and say hi, or maybe he's already unmuted.
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm Jim Blaich. I've been on when we resurrected the Sexton Mountain NAC with the four of us, one missing tonight. But I'll be recording for the minutes, so make your points loud and clear, and I will give them the attention they deserve.
Excellent. And then it looks like our treasurer, Scott, is not here. I'm not sure if he will be coming, but if his face shows up, we are happy to have him here. And then I will just let folks know that we're in a process of trying to grow our board. And so I am putting out the invitation to everyone that in October we will be voting on new board members. And I did start to put the word out, and one of the folks who said that she might be interested is Olivia Ross, and so she is here with us today. And Olivia, I'm hoping you can unmute yourself for a moment and just say hi and tell us how long you've lived in the Sexton Mountain neighborhood.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name's Olivia Ross. I have lived in the same house in Beaverton for my whole life, and I'm 15. I'm currently the head of the student board for Lacey Beatty's campaign for Beaverton mayor. So local politics are my jam, and I'm excited to be here with you guys today to kind of get a better sense of what's going on at a deeper level.
All right, we are delighted to have you with us, and hoping that Olivia will join our board in October. So yay. All right, so without further ado, we'll get started with our agenda, and it looks like Officer Paul, can you give us an update?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, again, Officer Fleckenstein. I've been with the department since August of 2017 for any new members that are kind of joining us tonight. Just want to say thanks again. And so kind of for an update, hasn't been a whole lot of any type of particular new crimes or any new kind of upticks in anything. Kind of the usual thing for Sexton Mountain and kind of southwest Beaverton area. I work graveyard shifts, so I happen to predominantly work all those areas. Well, I am assigned to these areas and actually live in the area of Beaverton as well. I have not seen anything as far as the only upticks are just kind of the usual unfortunate things of kind of car prowlers. We've seen a lot of those lately. We've also seen a lot of just with kind of school being out and kind of odd hours and just there's been a lot of kind of juvenile problems just kind of within the area. So it's just something to keep in mind for anyone watching, just continued kind of hypervigilance when trying to lock your cars or kind of depending on where you're parking them and kind of leaving certain, I've seen a lot of Amazon packages unfortunately being taken from a lot of different locations. So, but other than that, nothing particularly major. One of the things that at least I've been utilizing recently, at least on so I kind of through the Neighbors app and also through Nextdoor, we've been utilizing that a lot through some of the areas all throughout Beaverton, and we found significant success with that as far as neighbors and people with Ring videos or Nest cameras and things like that, kind of helping to kind of curtail some of those types of problems. So if any of you guys have those or are interested in those, they're very extremely helpful for you as far as kind of maybe for a peace of mind, but then also for our portion of investigations and things like that for if we have a person that's kind of doing a string of those types of thefts and things like that. So Other than that, nothing of too significance, at least happened within the Beaverton overall through the police department. There were a couple of protests this past month that did happen at the Beaverton City Library, just off of Fifth Avenue. It went off without any problems, without a hitch, and we were all very pleased to see that everyone was able to protest peacefully and that there was no problems with anyone in that regard. So we're very happy to see that, and we totally are for anyone looking to protest and express their civil rights and their First Amendment speech. So we're all for that. In regards to kind of if you're looking to kind of get involved or looking to talk with members of the law enforcement other than kind of through this NAC, we do coming up on September 1st. We are doing Coffee with a Cop. So if you have any friends within the area, we're going to be doing it at Lionheart Coffee Company. It's at 11421 Southwest Sholsbury Road. Again, that's Lionheart Coffee Company, and that's going to be on September. I thought it was going to be September 1st, but maybe I have the wrong date. We might just not have updated it. But I know there is a Coffee with a Cop at least coming up shortly. And then we also have Shop with a Cop that's coming up for a couple of sponsored kids that's going to be coming up on this Thursday, actually. So kind of all throughout the morning, different officers have taken various schedules. I'm taking, I think, 10 to 11 a.m. And we're going to be doing some kind of shopping with some kids and other things like that. I believe it's Fred Meyer, just across the street from our police department. So other than that, if anyone has any particular questions or anything that's about kind of going on, I have more than an answer. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, so so speaking of next door, there seemed to be a post a couple nights ago about car prowler kids who were up on Ruby and like 149th.
Yes.
And that they ended up hitting someone with a skateboard or something like that. And then was that a one-off, or are they like hitting a bunch of cars, or?
So that I was actually the primary officer on that particular case. They were like at least 4 to 5 juveniles. It looked like 4 from one of the camera angles that we saw from one of the neighbors. One of the neighbors just happened to observe these kids going rifling through a neighbor's car. Attempted to he tried to scare them first, and they kind of continued, and then he had grabbed one of them by the backpack, just trying to kind of hold them there temporarily. And then one of the kids actually took his skateboard and swung it at the neighbor. Luckily he only got hit in the elbow, so it was very, very minor injury, but if he hadn't have put up his hand, it could have been a very different story. Overall, I was glad to see that he was okay, but I could see from the video that they had tried multiple door handles all throughout that particular neighborhood. As far as I know, we haven't had any other victims of theft, at least, but it's just something kind of keep in mind in the evenings, that regardless of kind of where you live, and Sexton Mountain and this whole area is typically pretty safe. But again, there's always people looking to kind of take advantage of certain opportunities. So. Yeah.
And am I right in thinking that was like, it happened around 10:30 at night or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. So it wasn't super late. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think, again, there are folks who walk their dogs late, and we would just want them to kind of be aware.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
All right, Sharon, I think you had a question. Oh, you're muted, dear.
You did a Vulcan mind meld with me, because I had the same question. And the other part of that question is, in Next Door, they mentioned something about a tactic or a technique that the police use with their sirens. They blast them and then quiet, and blast them and then quiet. Is that truly a technique, or what?
So typically so we had a canine on that evening. So whenever there is kind of any car prowler or someone, a criminal or suspect that's running from a scene, typically there's kind of odor that's kind of left behind in certain areas. So typically, like we would try to set up some type of perimeter of some sort. And then from there, a lot of officers will, depending on what the canine or they're comfortable with, we will either intermittently do kind of like our lights and sirens just to kind of see if maybe the suspect might hunker down or kind of stay in place for a particular amount of time. It gives us a kind of a greater opportunity to see or to hopefully at least capture that particular said person just to, but unfortunately we weren't able to successfully do that that night. So it's just one of those things. And I know a lot of people do get annoyed with it, and we do apologize for it, but at the end of the day, I think we'd like to at least hopefully catch those people who continue to kind of do these types of crimes. So
I really think that if people are educated to the rationale behind all those things, that the knowledge of those things, that then people would be more understanding of it. And by the way, is it Bastinelli that K9?
He is. He's our day shift K9 officer.
Okay.
And Officer Paul, it looked like one of our participants just wanted to thank you. So.
Oh, well, thank you very much. We very much appreciate that. And any and all support, especially from Beaverton, we very much appreciate it.
And thank you for saying that you support peaceful protest, because I think it's just so important in our community to show that Black lives do matter, and that we really do value people's right to speak up. So, you know, thank goodness it's all been peaceful. So
no, absolutely. That's all that we want. So
yeah, awesome. Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Jen, I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Yes,
so we had a student protest. I don't know if you heard about that, but it was at City Hall, and we had about over 200 people, I would say. So it was pretty successful, obviously a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
But we had like some counter protesters that were not, which were there peacefully. But my question for you is, I guess, is like, how do you think because we want to hold other protests for Beaverton for BLM with the organization, but we also want to be safe about it. So I guess, what would your suggestion be to kind of avoid these types of things in the future?
As far as kind of avoiding counter protesters, or just
yeah.
Well, whenever you kind of have, especially depending on where you're posted in different mediums, especially social media and other things like that, those are obviously accessible to the public. And whether it's right or wrong, unfortunately, those people, they have the same right as far as to protest. And I completely agree. Yeah, obviously you don't want to have either one, or even the possibility where it escalates things to a point where one side or the other feels threatened, or things kind of escalate kind of beyond return. But one of the things just to kind of keep in mind that might just be a possibility, or one thing that you just kind of have to think about. And especially if you let law enforcement know, or any of the city officials know, we will be happy to at least to kind of curtail, hopefully kind of keeping a separation between and letting everyone kind of be able to protest or speak their voice in that particular opportunity. So it's a difficult question to answer, and I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you. But yeah, unfortunately, there's not a much better answer that I can give for you. It just kind of is one of those things. So
right. And I think, the thing to know is that everyone has the same First Right Amendment, like they have that right. So it's, I think what Officer Paul says of like just letting BPD and City Hall officials know, so that, again, they can just kind of keep an eye on things and help de-escalate if that's necessary. But great question, Olivia.
Yeah, very good question.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Officer Paul. Have a great, is this a night off for you, or?
No, this is my Friday for the week. So yeah, I do go tonight. So I'm leaving for work here in a little bit though. So.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in on your Friday.
No, thank you very much. You guys have a good rest of your evening.
Great. All right. Let's move over to Mark so we can get a THPRD update.
Okay. What I'm going to do tonight is, if I can share my screen, all these different platforms show up differently. Do you see something in front of you?
We do.
Okay. It's kind of interesting because it shifted over on my other platform. It stays in front of me. But the idea of what I'm going to share with you tonight, and I apologize if you attended our board meeting last week, but wanted to give you kind of a quick overview of our reopening plans for this year. As you already have heard me speak in the past number of months. I mean, we've had a major impact on the Park District with our facilities since we've been closed since March 14th. A lot of the park amenities were closed, and we've always had some interesting experiences with the enforcement of issues at both extremes. A lot of that has to do with obviously the health and safety rules and the guidance we're getting from a multitude of agencies. Currently, our staffing reduction at that time in March was about 84%, most of those being part-time employees. But right now, we have seen an uptick in that. We have about maybe it'd be about maybe 30% of our staffing levels right now. So we are in the process of revamping and reopening. Projected loss of revenue so far through October is going to be about $10 million. So it makes us have to really think hard about how we offer programming as we go forward in reopening. And then also the biggest question we have is the demand. With COVID out there, there's a big unknown. School and everything seems to be evolving constantly. And so we're just not sure, if participation levels will come back, very fast. So as most of you know, this summer, we were able to do summer camps. That was one of the things that allowed us to focus on our community as a priority by being able to offer safe and consistent childcare for those people that did have to go back to work, especially those essential service workers. We started small at about 2 sites and expanded to 4 over the time this summer, and it's been very successful. And we are in the process of trying to follow the OH guidance and reopening additional programs now that summer's kind of ending and school is, I guess you'd say, sort of morphing into an opening of sorts. And we are working closely with the school district on that. As far as facility reopening, because everybody wants to get back to their favorite center, I mean, there's been a number of factors that we've had to go in and looking at things in this reopening. We've had probably 1 or 2 representatives from almost every department in meetings weekly, trying to keep up with the different state guidances and which phase we're in. We're going forwards or backwards, trying to figure out how to do our staffing levels, since we do primarily, in the summer especially, work with a lot of part-time staff. Financial constraints that we have, and just how our public may want to utilize some of these facilities going forward. So currently what we have is kind of this is our reopening timeline, so to speak, with the various facilities we have based on what is available right now. So Conestoga Recreation Aquatic Center, and I should say it's the dry side, so the swimming pool at Conestoga will not be open right off the bat. That happens in phase 2. That is something that the state has not released yet. We've also chosen the athletic center. These first 2 facilities are really large, and there are some of our newer facilities, and allows us to have a lot of program options. We actually have taken a lot of equipment out of some of our other centers and made a weight room inside the athletic center. So because of its expansive size, we're able to allow that to occur. And then the other thing is the mobile recreation, which is something I'll talk to here shortly. And that's going to be probably our biggest thing to get out to the community, to be able to get things back and moving. As you can see, sometime later in the fall, this is again kind of dependent on phase 2 or close to phase 2 opening, is we can get the tennis center back in, the swimming pools, both at the 50 meter at 150th and Walker, known as the Aquatic Center in Conestoga, Cedar Hills, and then the Nature Center. And then sometime after the first of the year, we'll be able to get the Senior Center, Garden Home, and the other outlying swimming pools open. So as we know, this is evolving daily, and it makes for a lot of sleepless nights sometimes for us. So community psyche program. This is kind of going to get into some of the, I don't want to say it, some of our mobile recreation programs that I kind of aforementioned there. But basically this is part of an allocation of money that is coming out of the CARES Act. Washington County ended up receiving, I believe it was like $105 million. And Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District was able to obtain about $500,000 within that group. And our charge is going to be kind of dealing with this last bullet here, the public mental health and community psyche. And how we're going to do that is we're going to divide some of the money up between the city and us, and we are going to look at 3 program categories, which is mobile programming, community events, and community partnership. And the mobile programming, and I'll just go through these fairly quick, is most of you are aware we have a rec mobile. So we're going to have 3 vans, and we are going to go out to different parks, provide athletics, artistic, educational type programming. We have the nature mobile. There'll be 2 vans serving the areas in the district, providing nature exploration. We have an adaptive rec program, specifically working with kids with disabilities and helping be able to work with that community. Wellness on Wheels. We have 1 van. This is going to go out to sites, mainly low income or senior centers to help provide some fitness for them. And then we have Fitness in the Park. This we've had for a couple of years now, and it's been very successful, where there are basically classes, yoga, Zumba, various things like that out in a park with an instructor. And it's all will be free, trying to help us kind of regain our mental health during this COVID situation. The other thing is that we've got some community events coming. Some of these have already kind of occurred, like the chalk on the block picture there has occurred, and they had several of those events, but they're still planning to have pop-up dog parks, a drive-in movie, and then also a drive-up Halloween parade. I don't know how you're going to do that, but it sounds interesting. And they're also still talking about trying to have some concerts. So trying to get the community back engaged and help our psyche. Also, they're going to have some diversity, equity, and inclusion events. And I believe these were going to be in coordination with some other community partners. And then lastly, there is some funds set aside specifically for community partnership, where we will help provide and assist in the planning and the promotion of other agencies, other different causes out there in order to help them be successful in their program. So that was kind of a high-level overview of a 20-minute presentation that occurred. But we are getting ready to open, and I know that that is something that we all want to see happen.
Great.
Is there any questions?
All right, I can't see everyone, so if you're a presenter and you have a question, yourself, and oh, there we go. All right, so I think Sharon had a question. Go ahead, Sharon, unmute yourself.
Okay, Mark.
Okay, go ahead, Sharon.
Mark, is it Anne who is doing the Recmobile?
Ann Johnson?
No, Ann Satterfield?
Oh, Ann Satterfield. We have had our organizational structure dissected and put together so many times this summer, I really could not answer that.
Okay, the
Want me
reason
to find out for you?
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because I'm on the board of a 57-year-old nonprofit, all volunteer run gallery. And for the community, we're doing free art kits. So we were today at Bridge Meadows, and I had mentioned it to, I think, Carol over at Conestoga, and I'm not sure who to kind of run with this, but it was mentioned about the Recmobile going to low-income kids, and so we can hand out those free art kits.
Right, okay. Well, why don't you and I get together and I'll try to find out maybe who to send it to, because like I said, we have reorganized ourselves and we have staff that were in aquatics, they're now in recreation, and we've shifted things around quite a bit, so.
So we can talk offline.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so Mark, we have a few items on our Q&A board. So first of all, can you see it from Chris Ross?
Yeah, it was hidden.
Yeah, he loves the drive-in movie idea. Thank you. And then Sean is wondering if everyone's going to have to wear masks inside. So that's a concern for tennis players.
Yes, at this time, everyone in a building will have to wear masks, even if they are doing physical exercise. So that is yes.
Gotcha.
Is Conestoga open now?
No, it will be opening end of this month, 1st of September. They haven't set a hard date yet, to my knowledge.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any other questions? That was a really great presentation, Mark, and it's got me thinking of what could the NAC partner with THPRD on, and so I might have to follow up with you, or
Okay.
Or is Lulu, is she working on that?
You know, as I said, we've got so many people in different positions now. I mean, I think I'm one of the few that has remained in my same position. So it's hard for me to tell you offhand. So probably offline would be best.
All right, sounds good. Great. Well, thank you, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It looks like Franziska is up. So
hello there. Hi, everyone. My name is Franziska. I'm the Public Involvement Coordinator with the City of Beaverton, and I'm also the staff liaison to this lovely board. And I just have a few updates for what's going on at the city. So this is a COVID update, but I know Mike Mumaw, who's with us tonight, will be giving a more comprehensive discussion about what we're doing at the city with respect to COVID. But city building closures do remain in effect in an ongoing effort to support our community's health and safety. COVID-19 cases continue to rise at both the state and county levels as community members are encouraged to wear face coverings, watch distances, and wash hands. Most city services are being provided remotely by phone or online. Some buildings are providing limited in-person services with distancing and other safeguards. And the latest update, I believe it's November 15th, is when the city buildings are currently closed until, but like I just mentioned, most services are being offered remotely. The Beaverton building specifically is offering in-person visits by appointment for passports, and Beaverton Municipal Court has reopened in a very limited capacity for specific instances when remote technology is not accessible. Visit beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus for the latest information on available services, community resources, virtual meetings, upcoming events, and other activities. Beaverton City Library has launched BCL to Go, a contactless curbside pickup service at the main library. 6 days a week, library card holders can make an appointment to pick up their BCL main or Marie Schulz branch holds at the main library, as well as book bundles for kids consisting of 5 to 10 books geared toward a specific reading level or interest. Visit beavertonlibrary.org/BCL to go to make an appointment, and I'll put these links in the chat for everyone to see as well. Book returns are accepted at the book drop at both the main library and the Marie Schulz branch. And meeting room reservations at all buildings have been canceled, and new reservations are not currently being accepted. Virtual community events. August is packed full with virtual opportunities for the community to come together even as we stay apart. Virtual events and activities are happening almost daily. Visit beavertonoregon.gov/events and beavertonlibrary.org/events for the latest. Beaverton's 63rd annual celebration parade is happening for the first time in a virtual format this year. This year's theme is Beaverton Together, which encourages participants to share pictures and videos of the many interesting, unique, diverse, and amazing aspects of our community through crafts, hobbies, performances, pets, vehicles, and more. Picture and video entries will be accepted through Friday, August 28th and posted in September on the city's website and social media channels. Visit beavertonoregon.gov/parade to submit entries and details. The Beaverton Night Market just passed. It just happened this past weekend in a virtual format. I know that there was a lot of video recordings for the events and performances and other activities that were happening as part of the night market, and I do believe those are getting uploaded to YouTube and will be available for replay later. Let's see, and lastly, the annual Flicks by the Fountain event will be presented as a virtual movie trivia night, nights, plural, hosted via live stream in August. There will be trivia questions from both newer and older movies, and participants can win prizes. For more information on the schedule and how to participate, visit beavertonoregon.gov/flicks. And those are all of the updates that I have for now. And it looks like there is a question. Do you know when in occupied home building permit inspections might resume? I do not know the answer to that, but if you, I can definitely get the answer. And if you want to provide your contact information privately via the Q&A function or via the chat, then I can get back to you with that information. Thanks so much for the question. It's a really great question.
Great. Do we have any other questions?
Actually, yes. This is, I know it's like 100 degrees out and it's kind of a hard thing to wrap your brain around for extreme weather shelter. Have there been any discussions about when the time comes and that weather does hit, how that's going to be, especially in a second wave, handled?
Or, Mike, please.
Yeah, that's actually towards the end of mine. Is, you know, the other emergencies haven't stopped.
Okay.
So discussions are ongoing, not just for the winter, but you know, what if we have the subsequent 100-degree days with no overnight cooling? And so those are all real things that we are trying to discuss and solve. But to be honest, we don't have answers right away.
Okay.
Franziska, I have a question. I'm wondering if you have any sense of when libraries might be open for browsing.
For in-person browsing, I don't have any idea. I do know that the main library is open in a very, very, very limited capacity for folks needing computer and internet access. But for the time being, BCL to go is going to be the way to go, no pun intended, for getting your physical book needs from the library.
Right, and so when last I saw it, it was only holds that you had made pre-COVID. Are we allowed to?
No, no. You can put new books on hold right now. So I know that, and I only know this because in my family we have like 500 Bernstein Bear books that we've rented from the main library. I know that those are coming due at the end of August. For the longest time, books were not due back at the libraries. But we are actually going to be using BCL to go to put a whole bunch of more kids' books on hold and then go and pick them up. It is an appointment only. I know that there are other libraries within Washington County and Multnomah County that do a kind of, you know, come pick it up when you can. But for the meantime, it is, you do have to make a specific appointment for a specific time to come get them.
Right, okay.
And it does. There is another question. Has there been any discussion by the county to cap property tax bills this year? Unfortunately, I don't have any affiliation with county tax regulations or otherwise, so I'm not sure who would be the best person to answer that question, since those are regulated by the county and not the city. Miles, do you have any idea who we could ask for that question?
You know, I haven't seen it come up on any of the recent Washington County Board of Directors agendas.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that they're not thinking about it.
Sure, sure.
If it were me, I would call my representative, call his office. So I think for your area, it's still Dick Scouten, and ask him what he knows about it.
Great.
Also
Thanks.
go to Catherine Harrington directly.
You could.
Okay.
And I do see a couple more comments or questions. Thanks, Christopher. I see that you'll follow up with that department directly. But thanks for asking that question. That's a really great question. And then there's another question about if the library has switched to buying more online books because of the crisis. The hold times are pretty long on popular books. I don't know for sure specifically. I can also find out that information. I know that they have switched all of their programming, obviously, to being online. So I imagine that that is also part of that. There are apps that have made it really, really easily accessible to be able to access all of the library's books. I can't remember the name of it. I think it is
Libby.
Yes, Libby. Thank you. Thank you, Miles. So I'm sure that that's part of the plan of making services available virtually.
They have increased their number of licenses on the Libby app.
Oh, great. Perfect.
So,
are there any other questions that I can help answer? I know that Mike Mumaw is going to go into a lot more detail for what's happening at the city with regard to the COVID crisis.
I think the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that this morning at the Downtown Beaverton Association meeting, we were talking about all sorts of things, including how to deal with Halloween and the event that they usually have in the downtown area, whether to make it virtual, whether to have part of the streets blocked off. And I'm sure that that's going to be in coordination with the city, but so it has to be massaged more to see what's going to happen and when to make those decisions. So it'll be in September sometime.
Wow. I'm so glad that you guys are talking about that, because I hadn't even thought about how Halloween is probably going to be different this year.
And I just saw it on Nextdoor, just the beginnings of discussion. And I'm thinking, oh, it's 100 degrees and I'm talking extreme weather, shelter, and Halloween already. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. You know, Sharon, it's only 84 today. I can deal with 84.
That is so true.
Yes. So let's keep it there. Let's not go back to the 100-degree weather. Okay. Yep. All right. Thank you so much, Franziska.
Yeah.
I think
normally I would stay for the whole meeting because I really heart you all. But I am going to sign off early tonight and leave you all to it. So it's really nice to see you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your meeting. And because this meeting's being recorded, I will watch the hour that I missed. The beauty of recorded meetings.
I know. So good.
All
right. Bye,
and we'll talk to you all soon.
Okay. All right, Mike, I'm going to pass the torch over to you now. And you're going to talk to us a bit about the different aspects of COVID that you had to think about. You probably had more sleepless nights than anyone else in town, is my guess.
That's probably true. Let me find my screen here. Oops, it went away. There we go. Everybody seeing that? So, I'm Mike Mumaw. I'm the emergency manager for the city of Beaverton. For anybody who hasn't met me, I've been in the job over 24 years. And to be honest, and actually 30 years in the emergency management business, and this is probably the most unique and ever-changing disaster I've been part of. And as you can see, my byline there is a true example of Semper Gumby. And in emergency management, we have started using the term, Semper Gumby, always flexible, because a plan is only as good as until you put the period on it. And then when the disaster happens, everything changes. And COVID-19 is just like that. It's nothing we've experienced before, even with H1N1. Things are just vastly different. We know a lot about influenza. We don't know much about the various types of COVID viruses, and we're still learning. And so, like anything new, as Mark even pointed out, it's constantly changing. New research comes out, things change. You can find things on different ends of the spectrum based on how people are viewing the data. So we're constantly learning and we're constantly evolving. And that's why questions like when's the library going to open to browsing? There's a lot of factors that we still have to take into consideration. The hope is phase 2, we'll start seeing the ability to have some people in the library, but there's still going to be all sorts of protections that we have to have in place and rules, and it's not going to be like before where everybody can come and expect to get in. From the emergency management standpoint, this actually started for us back in the November-December timeframe. We were actually watching the reports for the World Health Organization coming out of Asia, out of China. We were already looking at our pandemic plans. We realized pretty quick that they were not going to be sufficient, and so we were working on changing those as this was unfolding. We're also part of our city's continuity of operations, so that was a whole side by side with situation monitoring, keeping people up to date. We're also leading the city in maintaining services. How do you transition from in-person services to remote services? And now how do we start safely reopening to provide some in-person services for those who don't have the ability to do much online? And so this is a constant balancing act that we're going through. It was pretty interesting that, like I said, November, December, we were actually started buying some additional supplies at that point. And yet we still found ourselves worried come January, February that we didn't have enough. And we even had supplies left over from H1N1. And then again, that's part of the interesting twist is I'm sitting there on a cache of stuff from H1N1 that we bought thinking we're going to have this surge in need. And now it's like, okay, do I dare buy more? Or are we going to sit on twice as much because all of a sudden this is going to fade away? And so, it didn't fade away, and we're, working through our supplies. But it's just to give you an idea of the unique balance that we have to go through and the differences that we're seeing. There's a lot of internal, external coordination. The county, we're working with them. It is, as you see in the next slide, it's a public health emergency, so they have the lead. We have all sorts of unique partners that we're working with, dealing with at-risk communities, and as well as faith-based organizations just getting food out to people in the food pantries. Anything from the state and national conference calls, to just our internal. It started early on in March that we had 4 daily calls that we had to participate in. We're down now to a couple calls weekly, but that at the peak, the whole afternoons were back-to-back coordination calls, starting with the state, then the county, and then we had one at the city, and then a regional. And so, as you said, a lot of long days and sleepless nights. It's not your typical disaster and emergency. Like I said, public health has the lead. We're typically thinking about the earthquake, the windstorms, the snow and ice, where you've got public works, you have police. You can physically see what needs to be done. You can see the damages. You can see the roads are covered. You can see the debris that needs to be moved. You can see the people that are hurt. This is harder to see what needs to be done because it's people are invisible, if you will, behind the walls of their house. You don't know who is sick until they actually go to the hospital. It's hard to set benchmarks and measure, are we being successful? What do you even, in a pandemic like this, how do you even monitor success? So that makes it difficult, and it can be frustrating if you're sitting there not sure, am I making a difference? Are we making an impact? The other work hasn't stopped. And this is a very unique aspect to this. If we have an ice storm, we have a huge windstorm, the earthquake, everything pretty much stops, other city services, except for the very critical, and we work on recovery, and we work on, getting things back together. But we shifted gears and went to providing as many of the city services as we could remotely, And that reduced the number of staff that I had available to help in the Emergency Operations Center because they still had their real jobs to do. And so it was, again, a nice balancing act. And then as Sharon alluded to earlier, the other emergencies don't go away either. We came close the other weekend where we almost hit the threshold that we would have to normally open up cooling shelters. But all our normal shelters, the libraries, the rec facilities, you know, where we direct people to, they're closed. And so we don't have options. And so we're still, this is one that's still in discussion. You know, do we approach the faith-based organizations to see if they can open their buildings, because then you have more of them spread over a wider area, so you don't have to worry about large concentrations. You know, but publish out some things of, you know, tips to keep your own home cool, things like that, which the county has a nice website to do that. So we're looking at alternatives. We're dealing with this. I'm happy to say that we don't have the hurricanes like they did in the southeast to worry about, but we have the fire over in Mosier, and they had to evacuate several areas. So how do you shelter people in a COVID environment and keep them safe? And so those are things that we're still wrestling with going forward. In this all, there's a lost message. If you notice, people talk about, oh, we need to wear masks to stop the spread. We need to do this to stop the spread. It's too late to stop the spread. It needs to be back to what it was. We're flattening the curve. You know, we want to just keep the spread at a manageable rate. There is no stopping it, and people seem to have gotten this fixated on this thing of there's this time frame where we're going to actually be able to stop it. That's only if we have 100% of the people go out and get vaccinated and we have an effective vaccine, which is coming up. So keep in mind, this is still a long-term event. We are looking to flatten the curve. We're not going to be magically able to just stop it. And we think it's going to continue to evolve. It's not going to be like H1N1, which faded away during the summer months. It's here, and it's going to run its course. So looking ahead, I think this is where a lot of people are really interested in knowing. So will there be a vaccine? If you notice, I have my crystal ball off to the side there, because that's all this is at this point, is just speculation. There's a lot of success so far in some vaccine trials. The big unknown is how long does the immunity last? So that's the thing that they really have to determine, is how long will the immunity stay with you? And so people are talking about, okay, let's hurry up and get the vaccine done and rolled out in time for winter. But you're not going to really know if it's going to be effective for an extended period of time when you roll it out that quick. The other thing you're going to run into is, as you think of two curves, as the speed of the vaccine coming out and through the trials increases, the number of people whose level of confidence in getting the vaccine is going to decrease. Because a lot of people already are we're only looking at about 40% of the people, the population on a survey that said they would get the vaccine, because the others are concerned that it's going too fast. And they're worried about any risks, and that those risks might be worse than getting the virus itself. So a lot of questions other than just, will there be a vaccine? Yes, there'll likely be one. When will it be? My best guess, I think we're looking at the spring, the vaccine, because that will dictate how much of our population has the immunity and what that's going to look like going forward. Do we still have to have some level of distancing? Do we still have to protect our vulnerable populations and things like that? How will it get eat? My preference, the term trauma, but I jokingly say that I suffer from PTSD from the H1N1 when we did a large immunization pod at Westview High School. But it's, I think we will look at doing it more spread out in smaller venues. So bolster the current clinics, Zoom cares, pharmacies and that with extra staff, and provide it at that level rather than these large single events where then you're bringing people into close contact and giving them a shot. So will things go back to normal? There's going to be a whole different normal once this is done. We're already seeing different businesses in the city itself looking at doing more remote work. Why pay for overhead of people in an office when they can work from home? So things will be different. Mark even alluded to what is going to be the level of interest in doing certain activities with the rec district. That's all unknown, and it's something we're all going to be figuring out together as we go forward. And then things to prepare for in the fall and winter. I hate to say it, but I will. What I'm planning for looking at is a COVID Christmas. We're already talking, what Halloween's going to be different. Imagine how Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's is going to look different if we don't have the vaccine fully deployed at that point, which, again, if by any means we have it fully deployed there, I don't think we're going to have a large percentage of the population taking it. So what's a COVID Christmas going to look like? And as we go together forward in this is just that. As a city, what's that do to tree lighting? What does that do to, Mark was talking about mental health. The dreary winter and the holidays are already bad enough for people who are suffering depression, and we see spikes in mental health problems. What's that going to do in a COVID environment? So we have to start looking at diversions and things like that in the wintertime as well to keep people engaged and not feeling neglected and isolated. And so, those are some big asks. And it's a whole new territory we haven't been through before. And there's going to be some stops and starts as we go forward. What I alluded to earlier about, not seeing a lot of the impact, we haven't heard much from the community here and there about certain things, but I'd be interested either now or offline. You can email me. What are some of the things that you're hearing from your neighbors in the community about COVID and the things that are going on, or things that you think are missing, or things that we're doing well? That would be very helpful as we continue to move forward to know what's happening in the community level. There seems to be some of this pride of toughing it out, but we know there are people suffering that maybe, if you will, too prideful to admit that they're low on food or they're struggling. So those are things we'd like to find out so we know where to focus our efforts to going forward. And with that, I also any questions? I purposely hit the high marks and kind of what's happening in the background, but I'll take any level of detail question that you may have. Sharon.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Well, so services like is it called Youth Play? I think.
Home Play for Youth.
Home Play. Yes. Like services like that for homeless youth and homeless people in Beaverton, are those services still open for people to use? And for okay.
Yes. Yeah. So and actually we set up with one of the local churches. The city started a centralized food donation point, and Home Play for Youth is one of the areas groups that they're constantly supporting. So every week they're dropping off food there. They've changed their model. People can't just come in and hang out, but they bring them in on like appointments or kind of a quick drop in. They hand them some food and stuff that they need, and they go. For other homeless, there's different options. We still have the safe parking program in place. There are also now out at the Washington County Fairgrounds, they're setting up a campsite for homeless people. They have hotels available for homeless people who have COVID or symptomatic. So there are a lot of programs dealing with the homeless.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was just at Family Promise delivering some art kits to them, and also went and talked to Angel over at Home Plate. And their day program is still going on so that kids can go in and take showers, do their laundry and things like that. But it's very heavily monitored for numbers and things.
Yeah. Sharon, did you have a question?
I did. What was it? You're talking about how to really kind of engage and know who's out there and really struggling. Is there a way to maybe map your neighborhood to maybe expand that to some degree to see about reaching out to more people to find out some of the needs?
And the Map Your Neighborhood programs that we know are functional and working are doing that. And then we also have CERT members that have been going out and taking care of their neighbors. So that is going on. It would be pretty hard right now to start from scratch a new Map Your Neighborhood in a new community, because it's a lot of that. It's that trust and relationship you build together, and that's kind of hard to do when you're on a screen in a Zoom call. But those are things we're looking at. But there are other kind of grassroots groups and neighbors that have started their own little communities and are taking care of each other.
Right. And Bill Blair has a couple of questions he's posted. I don't know if you can see them.
The Q&A or in the chat?
And in the chat. No, I'm sorry, in the Q&A.
As to when the Public Safety Center. Yeah, Public Safety Center. Right now, we're looking at August 31st. There are still some issues with a couple of the systems that haven't been fully tested. So it's really up to the city building department to decide if they'll give us a temporary occupancy on the 31st if we don't mate, if those systems are not fully addressed by then. But right now we're still looking at 31st, and I'll actually get an update on that tomorrow. And any more plans for drive? There are different groups in the community that are looking at hosting more COVID testing. There is one that's OHSU is constantly running out in Hillsborough at the Hillsborough Fairgrounds. They do have some criteria. Primarily, you know, either you're referred there by your doctor or you had a potential exposure, and so then they'll take you out there, and it's free testing. I actually had to go through that myself. So there's some already ongoing. There are some planned for the future as well. Good questions.
Mike, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, I mean, the thing that we see on the news is that there has been a shortage of testing supplies, and I'm wondering how much that has impacted our local community.
I think it's impacted a lot because, you know, we would love to be able to just say, anybody who wants to be tested, come out and get tested. But we can't, and that's why the Oregon still has some very strict guidelines on you know, who can go and get tested. And so, but the FDA has just released approved a saliva test. Now it's got 80 to 100% accuracy, but it only costs about $5 per test. It doesn't require any special reagents, any special gear, it's just a sterilized container that you spit in, it gets sealed up, and then it gets processed. And so we'll see that coming out, more of those types of tests coming out. And what they realize is, even though they might be giving some, missing some of the, you know, with false negatives, they think that being able to test more people will overcome that and actually make it more effective in the long run.
All right. So what is the turnaround time for these new spit tests?
I believe it's just a matter of days, a day or two.
Okay, that's great.
Yep.
And then a question about the vaccine. So, you know, again, like we see so much all over the news, and again, I think that folks do have this hesitation because it seems like things are moving so quickly, and that maybe there's not enough studies being done to see how efficacious, you know, these vaccines are. And I'm wondering, like, do you have any insight on, you know, like what kind of feedback they're seeing at this point on how well these vaccines are working?
Right now, that seems promising, and there's actually, and I don't know the total number, there are a couple different variations of vaccines. There are the traditional that that basically inject you with the dead virus, and you get antibodies that react to it. There are others that are more of a biologic, where there are certain proteins that'll block the receptors on the virus to keep it from attaching to the human cells. And so there's a couple different variations of vaccines, if you will, under testing. And the initial reports are favorable, and they're also looking at people who actually had the virus and how long they are showing antibodies. And one actually interesting research showed that people who didn't have the antibodies, though, had great T cell memory. And so their T cells actually responded effectively to combat the virus. And so they're actually researching that angle too, realizing that it may not all be about just the number of antibodies you have in your system and how long they stay. You know, the T cells themselves can play an important role for your immunity as well.
Right.
So a lot of research, but it's still early stages.
Yeah, and again, I don't assume that you have an answer here because Dr. Fauci can't answer this either, but like, are they, at this point, is the thinking that it's going to be an annual vaccine or?
Yeah, that still remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And usually with vaccines, they're taking a rear view mirror because of mutations and things. So for example, influenza, the flu shots that we get, the trivalent and the other ones are always looking backwards at what was prevalent to add into those particular vaccines. So it's always looking backwards.
Yep.
And obviously we're looking forwards with this one.
Yeah, true. There was a question about, has Beaverton lost any mailboxes? To be honest, I don't know. But that is something I'll work with Miles and see if we can find an answer to that.
They just suspended that today.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But we don't know if any were taken out.
If any were already taken out. But.
Right. But as far going forward, apparently today, DeJoy and whoever else, you know, they just suspended that until after the election.
Okay.
Right.
But yeah, we'll go pursue that and see if we can get an answer.
Right. And then Mike, do you know if, you know, I've started getting texts from Walgreens saying, come in and get your flu vaccine. Like, is the flu vaccine widely available yet? I mean, usually it's not until beginning of September.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was thinking it'd be a little bit later. But you know, they did say that that's something they're worried about is you know, how do you distinguish between regular influenza and COVID? And
Right.
so they are having a major push for everybody to get your regular flu shot this year as well.
Right.
And for old folks like me, they're really pushing the shingles, where you used to have to wait.
And pneumonia.
And pneumonia, yeah. Hey, Mike, this is for you.
Oh, there you go. There's Gumby.
That's fun. Excellent.
Yeah. So any other questions? And feel free to reach out to me. My email's on the city's website. We have our generic emergency management mailbox. If you have any questions about COVID, preparedness, what's going to happen in the future, I'll bring out my crystal ball. But you know, just feel free to ask. If I don't know, I'll be honest with you, and I won't know, and I'll try to pursue it. But you know, that's we're here.
You've been doing a fabulous job.
Yes, you have been.
Where can we go? Where can we go to get flu shots if we're high risk? Start with your normal care provider. Would be the way to do that.
Right.
Right.
Well, Mike,
Okay.
good luck with the move to the Public Safety Center.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and we really appreciate the work that you've done. I so appreciate that you have so many years of experience coming into this. It makes me feel a lot safer. And I'm hoping that, you know, you have great lieutenants so that, you know, it's like, so that we don't have to make sure that you work with us for the next 30 years, right?
Yeah, we should get Renata to come and talk to the NAC for. She's my emergency management officer, and I'm hoping that she'll be the one that replaces me. So, but yeah, she's very sharp.
Yes, I imagine. Yeah, like because you are such a planner, I imagine there is succession planning. So
yes,
yeah.
Most definitely.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all. Sorry to run, but I've got other things to take care of.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Yes, thank you, Mike. All right, so we're going to move on to business, and then hopefully we are going to have someone coming in a couple minutes who is going to talk to us about something fun. So hopefully she'll be our surprise guest. But
I don't see her yet.
yeah, all right. So talking about NAC Business, and Scott, I'm wondering, we haven't seen your beautiful face yet this evening. I'm wondering if you would be willing to show your face and give us a treasurer report.
Well,
You don't have to show your face if you don't want, but you just speaking up would be great.
yeah, I can do that. It's the same as last month if that was submitted in my absence. Neither ingoing nor outgoing, so we're at $3,085.20.
Oh, Jim is shaking his head, wondering if you can repeat that number one more time.
$3,085.20.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
Birgit just joined us.
Yes. Hi, Birgit. Hello.
Birgit, I was just calling you on the phone.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly wrap up our business, Birgit, and then we will talk to you. Okay. All right. So Jim submitted the minutes yesterday, and they looked good to me. So I'm going to make a motion to approve July's minutes. Do we have anyone who's willing to second that? I'm hoping Sharon will. All right, Sharon seconds. No amendments. All right, our minutes are approved. And then finally, wondering if we have any updates on our formal request to Washington County, re the abandoned house on Nora. And we did get an email the other day. I won't read the whole thing to you, but so I got the email from Stephen Shane, who is the principal planner for Washington County's Department of Land Use and Transportation. And he said that this is going to perhaps be a somewhat lengthy process to get the Nora House declared a public hazard, because he says the county's development code has no process for how to secure an abandoned or dilapidated building, as a building's condition isn't a land use issue. However, code compliance is a land use issue, and there have been several violations. So he is continuing to discuss the request to compel the owner to dismantle and remove the building with the county building official and the planning manager for land use and transportation. As this type of request is infrequent, there is not a clear and recent precedent, so they are working to develop a possible process. He asks for our patience while we work through options and any necessary authorizations we may need from other departments of the county. He will update us as he knows more. So that is the update that I have on that. So I don't know that I can answer any questions about that. So let's see. I think that Birgit can talk to us for a moment, but she will need to unmute herself. Yep. And then introduce herself, please.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Birgit Miranda. I'm an at-large member at BCCI, but that's not why I'm here. Sharon and I have been doing a lot of things together, especially leading BCCI, so it was really exciting to see, to come here for that also. And then why I'm coming actually is something completely different. I'm in the Greenway NAC. I mean, I'm not really in the NAC, I'm just in that area. And I convince Jen, who is the vice president, to finally we are doing something with organizing a activity. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna just share my little PowerPoint. Okay, good. All right, thank you. Let's see. Okay, so we wanted to do a pet walk, a physical one before this all happened. And so then I came up with this idea, we could maybe do a virtual one and get the community together. And we wanted to advertise that, obviously, so that's why I'm here. But also, if you have, we need some volunteers, but I'm gonna go step by step here. First of all, we call it COVID Pet Cup, and it's the virtual pet walk run activity. We are including cats, as you can see, and later on you will see another couple of animals. Anyway, so the options for participation is that you would walk 1K or 5K and then post it. We are looking at Facebook to post it. And then you could also post a video or a picture for challenges like a pet trick video, look-alike or costume photo of your pet. Cats are included, just in case anybody wonders. The other option we came up with is that people could also donate to animal rescue charities, and we will give a list that would possibly be, like inclusive enough so that somebody finds the one they want, and then they can register or post that to us, and every participant will be entered in different kinds of drawings. So the prizes will be like, for example, the best pet trick or the best look-alike, the best costume, or if you come up with some other category, we include that too. And so that's what we want to do. The project goals are, creating community and this kind of thing with being apart. Like we obviously have to have 6 feet apart, and we can't do a big event, but this could actually involve a lot of people, so and it's flexible, it's inclusive, it can be family oriented with the kids. It also promotes pet awareness. And we thought even that you could, one of the people who is also volunteering with us doesn't have a pet, but meanwhile he has a borrowed pet. So you could also go to your next door neighbor and borrow a pet. whatever it takes, whatever makes people happy. We want to do this starting on the 20th of September and through the 18th of October for 4 weeks, that people can turn this in. So you can come, you can register on the, that's the idea, we will register on the city website and then post on Facebook, whatever. And that can be any time between the 20th of September and the 18th of October. We kind of connected it to the National Pet Week, dogs and politics, very important. Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, and also National Walk Your Dog Week. And you can do it anywhere, like neighborhood parks is fine. We will also provide some maps. And so what we need is, and there's our other friends. You can also carry a rabbit around or take a picture of that your rabbit. Anyway, we need people to promote the event. So this means posting as soon as we have like the little kind of posters and stuff like that. We need volunteers for possibly answering questions when people post or ask questions on the Facebook or any other place. Like, for example, if there's something with the registration, we will have a generic Google account where they can ask a question. We need people to create participation certificates and send out participation certificates probably at the end. Create suggested walk and run maps, and then keep Facebook alive. Like, do you have something to post? We need some people to kind of like post things or encourage people, hey, have you been in that park already? Have you done that or whatever? And then send out the prizes. And we need judges at the end, obviously, again. we are looking for volunteer hours and stuff from the NACs. For example, maybe your postcards. I think you have a contingent of postcards that you can send out, unless you have your own thing that you want to promote, then obviously that wouldn't work. But if you have nothing for this next 6 months or so, then maybe you can use your postcards. I think that Miles probably can confirm that that's possible. What we are also trying to do is, we do not want to just solicit yet another, like for example, we go to Mud Bay and they were already willing to give us stuff, or there's another, the watering hole, they were willing to give us stuff. But really what we wanted to do is, we want to get prizes, right? So that we are actually supporting our community, the businesses and so on. And we will have a lot of volunteer hours that way, that can be matched by the city. And so we thought this would be a nice way of, like, people are always willing to give something, but why don't we give something to them that way, and then we can give that as prizes. So that's what I'm here to tell you all about. And if you the only thing I forgot was my email. Jen and Jen is from, like I said, Greenway. We have, you can contact us on via email, and I can push that actually really quick in the chat, or I can give it to Jen. Sharon?
Just go ahead and type it into the chat.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so any questions, any other ideas? I take any ideas.
I think one of the things that Brigitte alluded to was the NAC-wide postcard, and each NAC has 1 to 2 a year that they can use to push out information. You would use it traditionally for your movie night, or if you're going to have another project coming up that you want to, let people know about. I would just say that there are plenty of postcards to be sent out. So if you want to support this, don't worry that it's going to cost you a postcard later. We'll make it work at the city. So it's not you don't have to gamble with your postcard. If you want to support it, great. As a board, you can do what you'd like and still have a postcard in your back pocket.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we have an Instagram to promote these events as well?
Yes, you are exactly the kind of person I was looking for. I was telling the others that, the young people are not going on Facebook anymore. People are going to Instagram and Twitter or whatever, Instagram particularly. So if you can help us with that, that would be really great.
Yeah, I feel like we could make it cool because we could do like live stream, stuff like that, and stories. I don't know. I just think it would make it a little more, we could get teens involved too, and other young adults. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. That would be really great. So you can email me. It's birgitadm@yahoo.com, because I definitely need help with that. I have a Twitter account, but that's it.
No problem. I can do that.
Okay, excellent. That would be really super cool. And we really want to get everybody, like across all the areas.
So Birgit, go ahead and unshare.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
That way we can see, or I can see who else has questions. Are you okay if I share your email address with some other teens as well? Because Olivia has a pretty full plate, but I know that there's a lot of teens who actually need volunteer hours around here, and this would be, again, a great opportunity for them to get involved in a way that would be socially distanced. So, I think that would be great. And then, I think, like, you know, Sharon and I will talk about it more, but, you know, I think this is a no-brainer for us to support with a postcard at least, and then think of some other ways that we can help out as a NAC. So yeah, you came to the right group, because we certainly have a lot of pets around here.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you very much. Yeah, please share my email. That's no problem. Just let them put something like COVID Pet Cup in front so that I know who they are, because I would not necessarily know. So, and anybody who sees my email here, you know, Olivia, if you have friends that want to help, just let them know.
Also, I can, yeah, that's no problem. I have a question. What does the postcards mean?
So
go ahead,
Miles, maybe I guess.
Okay. So the city can print and mail postcards to every mailbox in a neighborhood. We do that as a service as part of the neighborhood program that I'm a part of. We usually do 1 to 2 a year per neighborhood, and they're professionally designed and professionally printed and then mailed out. And they hit every mailbox, so we know that everybody, if they're not on the internet, if they're not on Facebook or whatever, has the opportunity to see it. Jen, I'd also just mention, when you talk to any teens or anybody else who wants to volunteer, make sure that they're keeping track of their hours.
Yes.
That's what Birgit was alluding to. They want to purchase gift cards at local businesses instead of asking for them, but they need the volunteer hours to match the purchases so that the NAC can be reimbursed by the city for them.
Right. Check. Great.
And lastly, you also have the chair of Neighbor Southwest NAC hiding out, being very quiet in the corner.
Sure am. Just hanging out.
Elliot, do you have any updates from your neighborhood? Anything you want us to know?
No, it's been pretty quiet from my side of things. Fairly eventless. And I suppose no good news. No news can sometimes be good news. So,
right. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna open it up to the community. So any of our participants on screen or off screen, if you have concerns, ideas for future meetings, again, I will put out there that we are recruiting board members. We have our next election in October. And if you are a regular attendee, or if you have a passion for the community, we would love to have you join the board. The bigger, the better. Then we can just do more things, and we'll have more ideas for future events and meetings. So opening it up to you guys. Anything, and also you can feel free to email Sharon or myself. Our email is included on the agenda, and maybe on the emails that go out from neighborhood. I can't remember. Miles, do you? I think you include our email addresses. Yeah.
Yep.
So folks can always let us know if you have ideas for things, events you would like to have happen, or things you would like to see in future meetings. All right, so I'm going to let it sit there for a moment.
Birgit, Elliot is part, we have merged our 2 NACs.
Oh, I see.
So your question to him is a question to this combined NAC.
Oh, I see. So this is, you don't have different separate meetings.
Not for now, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect.
I'm sorry. I think when you were asking a question, my connection's been going in and out. So could you, I actually don't recall a question going to me. I just recall.
It's in chat. It's in chat. I thought you were a different NAC. So I thought, oh, good. Maybe I can sneak in another presentation, but you're not. So good.
Birgit, are we number 3 that you've approached?
Yes.
Okay. So actually, with Elliot, it's 3.5, 4. Yeah. We're combined. Yeah.
That's right. There we go. I'm guessing I'm gonna get over all Beaverton.
All right, I apologize that I'm losing my light rapidly, but Shauna says the Highland neighborhood recently had a weeding party for a community park. Is there an area in Sexton Mountain that could use some TLC? And that's a great question. I actually put it out to you guys with your eagle eyes and ears to look around and let me know. I walk, I mean, anyone who knows me knows I walk this neighborhood. And I'd say, you know what, like THPRD does a fantastic job with lawn maintenance and park maintenance. So, you know,
my backyard.
Yeah, I don't think that we're doing house calls, right? Unfortunately. But yeah, if anyone sees anything, back in the spring we had been talking with the folks at Water Quality, and there is a place I have my eye on to do a project on that is over near Weir. But we need to wait until it's safe for everyone to assemble. So that might be a next spring project for us. So that was a great question, Shauna. If you notice anything, please don't hesitate to let me know, because I know you also walk the neighborhood. All right. Well, with that, I think I'm going to wrap up our meeting. And I thank everyone so much for coming out. Thank you, Birgit, for stepping in at the last minute. Oh, we do have, let's see. We did get one more question in there. And I just got to find it. I saw it for a moment. Does anyone else see the question?
It had to do with Sapphire and Opal, a pocket park, I think.
Yeah, and there are some
I can
pocket
read it
parks,
to you.
not part of THPRD, right behind our place off Sapphire and Opal between 151st and 152nd.
Okay.
Is such a weedy need park.
Okay. All right. I will write that down and I will go do a walkabout and take a look.
I have just one question. Are you guys gonna give us your one postcard, or are you gonna move on that today, or because I think we need it soon?
Okay, gotcha. Does someone want to make a motion that we vote to give our postcard for that? Sharon, do you want to make a motion?
Well, as long as it doesn't hit our back pocket, like Miles said, I would move that we do a postcard for the Pet Cup on behalf of our NAC.
All right, I second that.
Any discussion?
None here.
Pardon me?
I said none here.
Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
All right. Birgit, you got a postcard from us.
Thank you.
And Birgit, I'm going to have to take Maureen's dog as a pet because I don't have a pet anymore.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I know.
You should get a new one.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna drop off.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
All right. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Great meeting.
Have a good evening.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Next time, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Olivia.
Olivia, welcome.
Thank you. I have a question. So I noticed that people were like commenting that weren't on this meeting. So is it a Facebook Live too?
No, they're this is a webinar, so they're set up as attendees. So
Okay.
they see and
Okay.
hear everything the same that we do, but
Yeah.
they can't like share their screen or talk without being allowed.
Fancy. Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
people
good.
can be pulled in to become an or become a panelist.
Yes.
If Miles chooses to elevate them to, yeah.
Okay.
It's so much
sounds
power.
good.
I
You
know.
do, apparently.
Feel the
Jeez.
power.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
Olivia, that's why I wanted you to see what you thought about being a panelist, because if you're on the board, you will be visible to the audience. And again, depending on the topic, you know, we might have, like today, I think we had 6 or 7 folks show up. You know, depending on the topic, sometimes it's 25 folks. And so you need to be comfortable being on the screen most of the time. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Yep.
Unless you're in the dark like Jen.
I know.
I know. That's completely not on purpose. I'll head inside in a moment.
August is typically one of the lightest attended meetings across all the NACs. Quite a few NACs just don't meet in August. They just take that summer month off. But I'm not suggesting that you should. Please don't.
All right.
But we did have Kate Christensen. We did have Mark Holliday. We did have, I think, what, 6 or 7 attendees?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.